Henry, the Dublin Racing Festival at Leopardstown, how big a deal is it for you?
Oh yeah, look, it's a big meeting, and we've been lucky to have a bit of success there over the years since it started, and it's a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, of course. Last year the highlight was Honeysuckle. She was brilliant that day in the Irish Champion hurdle, like that, and that was dropping back down to 2 miles and showing that pace, like the pace she showed around the second last flight. It was the pace of a truly top class mare or racehorse. Like do you think that we learned something new about her that day?
Yeah, I suppose we were all wondering, were we going for the champion hurdle or the mare's hurdle, and that was the day we said we'd decide. But in fairness to Honey, she sort of decided it for us. She made it very simple.
And like before that, did you think she was better over 2.5? Because there was a school of thought out there that 2.5 miles was her optimum trip.
Yeah, I suppose her form looked strongest, over 2.5 up until then. Yeah, very much so. I'd say, so you'd be silly to argue against it. Yeah.
And did she surprise you that day, or are we expecting something like that from her?
We knew she'd come on a lot. Was I expecting that? Probably not. No.
And then, like, of course, she'd won the Hatton's Grace hurdle last year. Same again this year, but she was far more impressive in the Hatton's Grace this year than she was last year. Like, is she a stronger mare this year, or what's different?
She's she's probably in her prime now. She's achieved so much for quite a young age. In fairness to her, it feels like she's been around a while and hopefully a lot longer. But she's probably in her prime now. Look, we probably, last year she gave me, I got a bit of a fright, and so we probably had her more forward for the Hatton's Grace this year, and I'd say the gallop and everything it all just fell right for her on the day.
Because it's a pretty scary prospect for her would-be opponents that if she's a better mare this year than she was last year.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I can't say that, but she certainly seems really well. And as you said, her performance in the Hatton's Grace was probably as good as she's ever shown.
And have you been happy with her since Hatton's Grace?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, she's been good.
And of course, the plan was to come straight to Leopardstown in February, as opposed to go anywhere. Just like last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's worked for us before, so we didn't see any reason to deviate. Yeah.
Like, can you put into words what Honeysuckle is? Like, because she's run 13 times over hurdles for you, won all 13. Like, I suppose the run that you've had with her, bar a blip when she was a novice, when she missed Cheltenham, like, she seems to be just a very sound mare as well as everything else.
Yeah, touch wood. Look, she is really, as you say, that blip. But she's just an incredible athlete. In fairness to her, she's just I don't know. She seems to take everything in her stride. Yeah.
And do you learn new things about her along the way, like tiny little things that just, I don't know, get to know her better?
Yeah, you'd always be tinkering a little bit, but how she's done, you wouldn't want to do too much. I suppose an example would be the Hatton's Grace last year and this year. We definitely needed to have her a little bit more forward than we did. That was, I probably just hadn't thought it through. I'm not sure, but going straight into a Grade 1, obviously need to have them a bit more forward than we had the previous year. She'd had a nice novice hurdle to warm her up.
Yeah.
You learn. You're always learning with them. Yeah.
And I think Peter Maloney, Kenny Alexander's racing manager, said that he thought she was she's kind of just starting to fill her frame this year.
Yeah, well, he'd be as good a stockman as anyone. So if he's saying that, you'd certainly sit up and listen.
Yeah. Of course, the Irish Champion Hurdle this year is on the Sunday, so it's an extra day for you to fret about her, I suppose. Yeah. Do you feel pressure when she's running, or is it?
You would, of course. Yeah, absolutely. You just want to do right by her, whatever happens. So, but look, we've a great team around her, and we just try and get her there as good as we possibly can to each race, and try not to, try and give her every chance of maintaining this unbeaten record.
Yeah, no, great. So the Irish Champion Hurdle is on the Saturday or on the Sunday this year. the Irish Gold Cup was on the Saturday. Minella Indo was on track for that. How's he been?
Yeah, he's been good. He's been good since the King George. He came home pretty deflated and he'd lost quite a lot of weight. So, you know, he definitely didn't come home like he normally would from a race. Normally it doesn't take too much out of him. After the Gold Cup last year, he was kind of no different, you know. So it was pretty grueling for him, the whole thing. Obviously he didn't run to form at all, but he seems good now. We gave him a school the other day. He jumped really well and he seemed really good. And he worked this morning and we were happy with him, yeah.
Great. Because I think after the King George, you said that he kind of came home a little bit tighter than normal after the race.
Absolutely. He'd tightened up, like he'd lost a lot of weight.
Right.
Movement-wise, he was okay. But he'd tightened up more so, and he just looked tucked up, and you know, I've never seen him look as light as he did.
Right. And it's not the travelling, obviously, because he loves going over and back to Cheltenham.
Yeah.
But you think it was just the race that took more out of him?
I don't know. I actually genuinely don't know what it was. We ran a lot of tests on him. There was nothing obviously wrong. He just lost weight, and which is unlike him. But I don't know. Maybe it was to have such a grueling race at that time of year. I'm starting to wonder, is he just a spring horse? You often hear that. I never really sort of agreed with that, but with him it's really starting to be on my mind. You know, if he comes back this year as good as ever, you'd have to say that, because his form is so strong in the spring. You know, every year you sort of have to make an excuse for him going to Cheltenham, and then he either wins or gets just chinned. You know?
Yeah, wins the Gold Cup or wins the Albert Park.
Yeah.
And
it's funny.
And like, what is that, do you think? Is it the change in weather or just normal natural?
You know, I have no idea. Like I say, I had no mass on it ever before, and maybe I'm dreaming saying it now, but I just, I don't know. He's the first horse I've ever felt like that. It's the only conclusion. You know, I thought maybe it was just traveling over to Cheltenham. It was the only time we'd travelled him, but he travelled to Kempton and was disappointing. Came back from a real grueler, not looking well. So maybe it's just the time of year.
Yeah. Or is it Cheltenham? Like, Cheltenham obviously suits very well, the track.
Yeah, but then as a novice hurdler, he went and beat Allaho again in Punchestown, you know, so that wouldn't possibly knock that out for me, you know.
Yeah. But he's well and on track for the...
He seems really well, and yeah, we're happy. Like, if there was any negative, we wouldn't run him. But the fact that it was a route that worked to the Gold Cup last year, you know, I think we're happy to go once he seems good.
Yeah, good. The Saturday as well, we've got the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Novices Hurdle. You've got Grand Jury on track for that.
Yeah, Grand Jury's in good form. He had a great run behind Ginto the other day at Naas. The way he travelled into the straight, I thought he was nearly going to win. And then obviously Ginto just pulled away from him. But like the way he stuck at it, and look, he's a lovely horse. He's stepped forward a good bit from his first run for a step up in trip. So we think maybe a bit more of a step up might suit him.
Right, and again, because he was a big enough price that day in the Lauders of Naas race, did he surprise you by how well he ran?
We always had a good opinion of him. He'd been doing some lovely bits of work at home. He was a very impressive point-to-point winner. I was more surprised at him in Punchestown. I was more surprised / disappointed. I felt we saw more the Grand Jury at Naas than at Punchestown.
And so it's an extra 2 furlongs at Leopardstown. Do you think that could bring about improvement in him?
I hope so. The way he stayed at it up the straight, like, I thought he had every chance to let Hollow Games go by him, and I thought he stayed at it well. But we'll see. You know, it's learning for us as well.
Yeah.
See, you know, he's actually entered in the 3 novice hurdles at Cheltenham, so that's how
I'm certain you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just said we'd enter him in everything.
Yeah.
But we felt after the Lawlers, maybe the Albert Bartlett would suit him.
Right. You've got Journey with Me as well in the Nathaniel Lacey race. Is he likely to go there?
There's a chance he's entered. There's an auction novice hurdle the following week at Naas. So we'll look at our options nearer the time. I'd say he's more inclined to go for the Ballymore, but nothing's been decided. In my head, he's probably heading that way at the moment. So maybe we'd try the 2-3 at Naas, the auction novice hurdle.
Yeah.
City Island won it a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Were you happy with Journey with Me at Leopardstown the last day?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'd love to see him just settle. He's always made it, and wouldn't mind seeing him settle in a race. Just to see, that he's happy to do that as well. But he won really well. He was tough thing to do, I think, making all around there.
Yeah, and of course the comparisons with Bob Olinger have been drawn because he won the same bumper that Bob Olinger won at Goran Park.
Yeah, look, he's a nice horse. He'd be a different type to Bob. He wouldn't have Bob's pace, but he's a very nice horse, as he showed at Leopardstown, and he's really exciting. And we'll see what the spring brings.
Yeah. Good. And how is Bob Olinger, speaking of which?
Bob is great. Yeah, not a bother. He's in really good form. He delighted with him the last day. He was really good. Jumped really well, I thought. And he won't go for the novice chase at Dublin Racing Festival now. We'll go straight to Cheltenham for I'd imagine the 2.5 mile.
Right. Yeah, so you're happy to leave him after you've enough match practice into him and get him straight there?
Yeah, I hope so. That's it. Like, we're going off 2 chase runs, so it's probably not ideal, but with what we saw the other day, feel he's done enough. Yeah. Hope he's done enough.
Yeah, good. Captain Guinness, he's on track for the Dublin chase at Leopardstown?
Yeah, he's in great form. He had a super run in the Tingle Creek. And obviously he'd travelled over and back, so we backed off him for Christmas and said we'd have a go at this. Look, he's in mighty form, and looking forward to it.
Like, because last year as a novice, he just didn't get to the top novices, did he? He was just a notch below the top novices.
Yeah, he was. He was probably a little bit unlucky in a few races, or brought it upon himself maybe. He was firstly, one of his biggest problems, he was against Energamine, so that posed problems. So he beat him easily at Naas one day on very heavy ground, and then he went to the Dublin Racing Festival and he fell at the second last when going well. He might have run into a nice place there, and then my tactics were all wrong at Cheltenham. So we kind of cut our throat a bit there, and then I'd say it was the end of his season, or his season had ended before Punchestown. So it was great to see him back at Naas. Brilliant for the Landys, Declan and his family. That was great to win a nice pot and a good race there, and then savage run in the Tingle Creek. Yeah.
Of course, there's an argument or Shishkin to meet, but he does have Chacun Boursois.
He does have Chacun Boursois, yeah, absolutely. But, look, we'll go and take our chance and see.
Yeah, good. Calixios, is he going to join Honeysuckle in the Irish Champion Hurdle?
Not sure yet. Was probably leaning more towards the Red Mills Hurdle. But we'll see nearer the time. Hey, boys. Come here, into your beds. Go on, into your beds. Go on, into your bed. Diesel, into your bed. Get into your bed. Good boy. Sorry.
We got them well under control. So Minella Times, he ran a big race in the Leopardstown chase last year en route to winning the Grand National course. Is he on track for that race again this year?
Yeah, he seems in great form, and hoping to get him there. It was a lovely prep for the National last year, so it would seem again the right way to go. So yeah, he seems in good form.
I think was it just after that race that you decided the Grand National was the race for him?
It might have even been a bit longer. I think
right.
Frank and the McManuses might have decided well before that, but look, we were always toying with the idea, and it was incredible how it worked out. Yeah.
And like 2 miles 5 probably, obviously, he's a Grand National winner, so it's probably on the sharp side for him, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. He ran really well in it though, and he was only just beaten. And both his runs at Leopardstown, he was just beaten in the Paddy Power Chase at Christmas as well. So he seems to like it around there.
Yeah, and he's what, rated 159 now? I think 13 pounds higher than he was last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. Look, it's an ideal race for him, and we'll see how we go. Yeah.
And I suppose, like Minella Indo, who gave you your Gold Cup win, your first Gold Cup win, he's given you your first Grand National win. Like, obviously, he's a very special horse for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look, he was incredible last year. I mean, just to see the way he did it, and yeah, the history they all made, it was incredible. Rachel, everybody, and yeah, the McManuses, everyone, it was amazing. And
this year, you're starting from the Grand National and working back and getting him there again.
Yeah, look, I mean, we tried the Durkin, that obviously didn't work out, and he was a bit, he was fine when he came home, but we just backed off him. But he seems to be really coming to himself now, yeah.
Yeah, good. And Spyglass Hill, will he join him in the race at that
Yeah,
percent?
I think so. He's in good form. Great to see him win for Niall O'Leary in Limerick, and yeah, I think he's got every right to go, yeah.
He's been an unlucky horse, hasn't he? Like, that was his first win since he won his beginner's chase, but he's gone very close and just hadn't had the hop of the ball in the meantime.
Yeah, I'd agree. And he was off a fairly high rating, so yeah, it was great to see him do it, and that's probably the softer the better for him, in fairness. Right. So we've tried every ground, every trip and everything. Took me a while to work it out, but we finally got there, and delighted, yeah.
And so what have you worked out? 2.5 miles soft ground?
We think 2.5 heavy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More so than 3 miles?
But he has form on Goodish. Yeah.
And more so than 3 miles, you think?
I think so. He just peters out over 3. Yeah, the Thyestes, he led them into the straight last year, but even on better ground, he peters out over 3. So we think sort of, 2.5 heavy, 2.5 better, that kind of thing.
Good. And just on the 2 days of the Dublin Racing Festival, Henry, like, will you, obviously there's a lot of attention on you, maybe pressure on you. Do you get to enjoy those 2 days?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you enjoy it more when they're running well, definitely, and winning. But yeah, absolutely. Look, we're very lucky to have the horses we have, and yeah, it's really exciting. We've got plenty of big guns performing there. So yeah, we will be under pressure, a bit of pressure, but it's good. Aren't we lucky to be involved in it?